Thank you so much for stopping in. Today, I'm going to take this deck of cards and I'm going to ask a question. I do an intuitive channeling. I use cards to kind of maybe start the conversation with my universal sources. Today's question, the one that I would like to ask today, is a lot of, and these questions come from many people over time. The question I'm going to ask today is what to do to improve relationship with my children. So if you are in a situation where you're just not quite connecting with your children, or you've had some disputes over time, or if you just want to know if you have a good relationship, you just want to improve it, what to do to improve relationships with my children, my child or my children. So it's going to be kind of general. If you have more than one child, it'll be general, and you'll know which one it relates to, if it relates to one or the other. Sorry about that. This is the channeling I'm receiving. You tend to stand strong in your beliefs that may not be your children's beliefs. You tend to want it your way sometimes. Your child tends to want it their way sometimes. And when that happens, you need to be aware that your base knowledge, your base energy should be drawn upon before you react in an emotional manner. Many times, relationships with children or a child have disputes because it's an emotional situation and it's not allowed to escalate. I mean, it's allowed to escalate and it's not allowed to de-escalate. So once that emotional energy escalates with a parent-child relationship, it tends not to de-escalate until it comes to a head, until it comes to a forceful head. And that can be eliminated by simply, and it's not simple, by simply recognizing that there's emotions on both sides. Because when we're emotional, we're emotional. When they're emotional, they're emotional. And that's all that matters. My emotion matters to me, their emotion matters to them. I'm going to continue the transmission. And once the escalation begins, it tends to escalate and escalate and escalate instead of being allowed to de-escalate. And the best way to de-escalate it is to recognize that it is a challenge to step aside from your own emotions and listen. It's difficult to step aside from your own emotion and listen. And then this is reminding you that sometimes the being set in your own ways foreshadows the revelations that you might end up getting. It's just simply being aware that you are an emotional state, you have an ego, you want it your way, and so does the child. The child has emotions. The child's trying to feel their way around, where the adult has already had a chance to feel their way around. And sometimes the child needs a chance to feel their way through. we're also reminding you that, excuse me, we're also reminding you that you have lived your life making your choices, good or bad, right or wrong. They deserve the same option. We humans want to protect their young ones, and they don't want them to get hurt. They don't want them to be harmed. They don't want them to fall back. But all physical beings on the planet Earth have the choice to fall once in a while, to learn their lessons from tripping. They also learn their lessons from joy and happiness. So allowing your child, your children, to walk their path and make their steps. And if they trip, you're there to support them. And in the meantime, they learn. But you cannot prevent them from making their learning steps. And that tremendously improves the relationship that you have with your children and in general, the relationship you have with everybody. You can't control what everybody does. You can only control what you do. And you can give the best advice you can give if you're asked. You can give the best recommendations you can give if you're asked. You can also give without being asked, but you also have to understand when you're doing it that way, then the other person has a little bit of possibly that resistance, like, oh, they're telling me I'm old enough to know. I'm old enough to know, and they keep telling me what to do. And that's resistance. I mean, that creates resistance. There's always ways to present. It's not that you zip it up. You be who you are. You be the parent, but you be the parent that stands on their own foundation without the ego, without the control, without the, you have to do it my way, or it's wrong. That's the responsibility of an adult human. And then I just picked this card up, and then it's reminding us that there's a lot of things that happen in life, and you just have to appreciate the other person. You have to appreciate the other person as an individual. You're an individual, they're an individual, and not let that escalation continue. There's by being mature, by setting back the ego, setting aside your ego, and you know what's best, then you do allow those other options to fall into place for the child. They will come to that same understanding that you're trying to force on them, if you're forcing it. And then you will repair your relationship from that foundation. And the foundation, and you both work on it, then you have de-escalated it so that you're working one-on-one with each other. And that's the goal, is to work one-on-one with each other without the escalation. And from that, there's a dove in this picture. That peace comes. Peace comes from the methods that we give to you. And having a wonderful relationship with your children or your child is very important. And we know that we give you energy all the time to make your life more and more benevolent, more and more joyful. That is the energy that we continually give you, and we hope that you accept it. That's all I'm getting. That's all I'm getting. So the question today was, what do we do to improve relationships with our child or children? And I did. What I just finished was the channeling of the message that I get from my universal sources, my angel and guide sources. And these pictures I'll put on Patreon so that you can see them. A lot of people want to read the card and see what it says. And really, it's the message. And this card came up because it's the dove of peace. It just reminds us that peace is what we want. We want peace with our fellow man, our fellow humans. Thank you so much for stopping in. Please like and share my videos and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned because there's a lot more to come.